Yo, shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Knicks and Bruises is back. I've been enjoying my summer, doing family duties, working, but I miss you guys, man. I got Ray, delusional Knicks fan in the building. Appreciate you, brother, man. How you been? How's your summer?
I'm good, Tone. We've been on the same path, man. Just working, be with the fam. And we definitely miss you having you back here and getting back into the Nick and Bruises.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining for sure. Shout out to the Queen, shout out to Sim, shout out to the whole MBK fam. I made a couple of appearances, here and there on a couple of shows, but I've been very hectic, and I'm just happy to be back. Hopefully, I could get back on some consistency. But I got a lot to talk about because I only made a couple of brief appearances, so I didn't get to really talk about much this off season. But I'll start with you, and let me ask you overall view of the off season so far. If you had to give a hot take on
Uh,
what has transpired since the end of the season.
man, you mean the end of the Toppin era? The you talking about the Nova Knicks new era? It's just
You could touch
ultimately
on it all. Touch on it all, and
right.
you know what I mean.
It's well, yeah, because I definitely haven't spoke on my show about it, but that Obi Toppin situation definitely hit hard. More so is because I wanted the Knicks to go in the direction of building in a draft, building for the future. Grabbing young players, and then occasionally probably would have used Obi for maybe a bigger trade than for cap space and 2 second round draft picks, but we got Dante DiVincenzo, who's a okay role player. Is a better defender than Opie, but I don't think he can replace certain intangibles that Opie done at that power forward position. That's just me. But I love the addition. I think that surefies and kind of locks up our defense and shooting. He's like top in the lead and catch and shoot on the 3 point line. So it's what we needed is defense and shooting as far as from that guard position, even though we would have needed that from the forward spot. But yeah, the end of the Opie era, the Nova Knicks era is actually going to be good. It's questionable on who's going to play backup power forward. Is it RJ going to play more? Can you put Hart there? Will Randall tired himself out playing 48 minutes? So we don't know. Sims can possibly play the four. So it's a lot of questions going on to this year, more than it was last year. So our biggest topic of the night, the 50 wins, might be in question, but we'll tap into that a little later on.
Yeah, I've had ups and downs as far as my perspective on what's been going on. Um, Not too long ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago, I was at a low point, feeling like, what are we doing? What's going on? We had all these talks about going for this guy, going for that guy, and ultimately the Knicks not really wanting to pull a trigger on anything. But then I got to sit with it. I'm glad I didn't put any of my negative views out there, into the atmosphere. I
Yeah.
had a chance to let it settle in, and I'm not really too disappointed. Um, I guess the biggest disappointment, and I have voiced this, was the return we got for Toppin. I felt like only two second round picks, two not so good second round picks. We probably could have got a lot more had we moved him earlier. But at the same time, similar to my views when we traded KP, I was upset originally. Like as soon as I heard about it,
Right.
I felt like the KP move we moved him too fast. Obi, I felt like we waited too long, and ultimately I wasn't happy with the return. But at the same time, with KP, that big controversy was going on with him not wanting to be here. Um, and ultimately, I felt like if he doesn't want to be here, and the way the media is set up, it's just room for more headlines, more
Yep.
negative headlines, more negative press. With Obi, we had the big talk about the after game 4, I believe it was his outburst at Tibbs. You know, who knows if it's 100% true, accurate or not. But with that lingering and no visible way for him to see more playing times or have a bigger role in the future, I figured, what, better off getting moving on from him and take what we can get. So the return I wasn't happy with, but it did open up that trade exception. We didn't have to take on any salary, so that could be helpful in the near future as well. So best of luck to Obi out there in Indiana, but there's no clear path for him there either. It's probably a better path, but there's rumors that they're still looking for a power forward, a starting power forward, or they drafted a power forward who is
Yep.
not shabby either. So he's gonna have to fight for his spot there as well. Better there than here. I'll say that. Um, DiVincenzo, I like that. I like the signing. I don't think they overpaid for him. I
No.
think they got him at a very reasonable price. I think he could have got more had he looked throughout the league for other opportunities. But yeah, I think that's a good signing. I think last year he had what you can consider a career year. You touched on him being tops in the league in what was it, catch and shoot,
Yep.
which is definitely an area of improvement that we need on this organization. Obviously, Villanova ties.
Nova
Um,
Knicks. Yep.
so yeah, I like that signing. Other than that, it hasn't been a lot of movement, a lot of things done. I think we revamped our two-way situation and the G League to the big league situation. I think it's all new guys there. You know what I mean? No more Trevor Keels. No more. Is Jeffries on the team? He's on the.
Daquan Jeffries, I think he got released as well. So I
So
know they got the Dylan
mhm.
Windler dude. Nathan Knight. I don't know if he's on a two-way or it was a sign, but I think he was a two-way
He's a
sign.
two-way, and then Martin, and
So
then the Martin kid. So they revamped that. It looks like all those guys get a fresh start. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they gave all those other guys good looks, and obviously they didn't crack the the main roster. They had opportunities, so now they're giving guys fresh looks. So I do like that. I think all of them in their own right have not high probability, but the potential of seeing some time on the main squad, or at least the opportunity to prove that they could make it to the big squad. What are your thoughts on those three guys, if any, um, or if it's more of a wait and see?
so the only individual I really see trying to get some type of minutes is it's Nathan Knight. Just as a backup forward, someone that is I think he's like 6'9". Can put the ball on the floor attack wise. I don't know how his jump shot is. I don't know if he has a consistent jump shot to kind of space the floor, but it's a big body. So that's the really only thing. Dylan Winder, he's a great catch and shoot guy as well, but that two guard spot it's kind of locked when you really think about it. I think it's locked with quickly can pay back up to Grimes. You got Dante, Josh, RJ. Like these guys can all kind of share that 2-3 spot. So I don't see any other forward or guard kind of getting cracking that rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the most likely as well, given the size. That's probably, and we'll get a little bit more into it, but that's probably one of the areas where this team is lacking right now in size. You could make an argument that other than the center position, uh, everybody is in some way, shape, or form undersized for their position. You know what I mean? So he would definitely give us something that we're lacking in that alone.
Right.
Um, I know he did play a guard role early in his, you know, high school career. You know what I mean? In the same mold of and this is not a comparison, but a Bam Adebayo who developed those guard skills early and then had a growth spurt.
Had the growth
So
spurt, yeah.
you know what I mean. I think he has more of a mid range than a 3-point shot, but
Okay.
it's something that can be developed. It's not going to be an easy feat to get into that position, but if you're looking at what Obi did, not production wise, just minutes wise, you're talking
Mhm.
about minimum or maximum 15 minutes a night if he could crack that. So it's not like he'll be relied upon to do
Definitely, yeah.
too much. I like Martin as well. Shout out to who was it in the chat? I put it up a second ago where he said keep an eye out for Martin. I think he impressed me in
In the summer
summer
league,
league.
yeah.
Kind of reminded me of Trier in a sense. Um, Seemed to have a no disrespect, but better head on his shoulders. Somebody who's willing to work his way in, plays on the defensive end. That's something we didn't see
Yeah.
from Trier. Um, so I think he has a shot, especially at that small forward spot. But again, undersized, so
Right.
it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be tricky.
I mean, I'll use him as a project in a sense. You bring him into the G League. You have him work out, be around pros, develop that game early, so that because a bigger trade is going to happen. As far as maybe Grimes or someone is going to be gone. And he could just kind of work his way right in, bring him in full training camp, and he could just slide in once Knicks make that big trade. So yeah.
And the Dylon kid, not really too familiar with him. Did a couple of research, watched a couple of podcasts who talked about him. I think he has talent. I think the biggest thing with him has been injuries and can he
Injuries.
stay healthy?
Yeah.
Um, other than the injuries, I think if he can stay healthy, this would be a prime opportunity for him as well. He's not particularly undersized.
No.
I think they have him at 6'7". So again, he could help in that area with length. I find it and let me shout out Knicks a nice CAA affiliate. He said Dylan is nice.
Yeah, I mean, he was a first round draft pick, so you gotta have some type of talent. He played defense, great at catching and shooting as well. Could put I mean, he's not a great ball handler, but he can still. He's better than Fournier at driving and doing all of that. So it's like I would rather have him on that roster than Fournier at the current state due to the defense, and probably could put up the same shooting. But yeah, no, he's good. What's going on?
Shadow,
Yo,
you might as well
yo,
just go ahead and say the catchphrase since we, what I mean. We all here now. What I mean.
all aboard, we here.
That's
2023 all season Knicks and Bruises edition. We here.
no doubt. Appreciate you joining. How's it going, brother?
Race to 50, race to 50, race to 50, race to 50. I know I had it going last year, but we didn't quite get there. But I think starting the season the way we starting, I think we could put race to 50 from the beginning of the season this year, and we can start counting backwards. You feel me?
That's a fact. And we didn't quite get there yet, but delusional. I believe you was the first one that
I
had
was
the 50
I
the
was on
50
it.
win
Yeah,
prediction.
everybody
What I
was
mean, in the
was
middle of the
dogging me.
season,
Everybody was dogging
and
me.
we is
It
oh
was
no,
dogging me.
oh no.
And it's funny
So
because we could have get that if it wasn't for that Julius ankle sprain injuries and 3 games away, bro. Everybody was like low 40s, 45. I'm like, nah, we pushing for 50. Shoulder, you was there too. You was like, yo, you a little delusional on that one. I don't know.
Well, yo,
perfect transition.
in all fairness, I'm not sure. I can't recall exactly when you made that
this was at
statement or
this was
prediction.
this was at All-Star break.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is the team with Josh Hart was a completely different team,
Right.
and he was not there I don't think when you made that prediction and when he
Was he
came,
there? I think he was.
no,
Okay, so he probably was. Okay. Yeah.
or like just got there
Mm-hmm.
because trade deadline is now they moved it like a week or two before the All-Star, right?
Yeah, so it was
Yes.
before, yeah.
Okay, so he
He
just got
just
there.
got, yeah.
So, the team wasn't looking like 50 wins before he got there. And hence why Hart is the heart of the team.
Yeah.
A whole nother topic.
But yeah, you came in with the race to 50. I think that's the perfect transition because you know what I mean. Like I said, delusional. I remember you was the first one talking that 50 wins talk, and you know what I mean. I'm supposed to be optimistic, Knicks fan, right?
Right.
And I was just like, I don't know. But as you know, as the season went on, like you said, 3 wins away, we was pushing that. We was pushing that pace. And I don't think it's far fetched for us to compete and get 50 plus wins this year, considering a bunch of things. I mean, first thing I want to talk about, I guess, is it's not like we came out the gate last year to DJ Shuttle's point and looked like we did at the end of the season. You know what I mean? We were looking a little rocky early on, and it really wasn't until we hit that 8-game win streak that things started to look a little bit different. But we couldn't string together, 3 wins prior to that. You know what I mean? It was two wins, 3 losses. 2 wins, a loss. It was up and down. This year, I think it's going to be a little bit different. Everybody pretty much coming back. You know what I mean? Really one new addition, DiVincenzo, but also the fact that DiVincenzo has the history with Brunson. That'll ease him in. He has the history with Hart. That'll ease him in. He's not a guy that we're gonna ask to do too much, so he could kind of just come in and play his game. And I think that's gonna make that transition easier for him. But other than DiVincenzo, it's the whole team coming back, minus obviously Obi Toppin.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that chemistry right from the jump may be a little bit different from what we've seen in a couple years past,
And
where maybe we come off to like a 15-5 after the first 20. You know what I mean, or something like that, where now it's looking a little bit different. That cushion early in the season makes a big difference than middle of the season.
I'll double down on the DiVincenzo thing. Is like he's a player that's like a type of player that could get along with any type of team. You know what I mean? Like he's not just respectfully, he's not like a guy like Quickly who kind of needs the ball to get his groove, or RJ, if he doesn't get the ball to make a play, he has to handle the rock and get warmed up, if you will. You know what I mean? Like DiVincenzo could just get in and just get in the flow of the game and get an open shot when his turn gets to him. Then he'll just be ready, type of thing, or hustle and get a ball on defense and get a fast break, or those type of things. So, and with all the other chemistry and relationship points, I expect that to be a seamless transition. And I mean, you can't give enough credit to chemistry and continuity with like all the significant players, the top 5, then Quickly, then Hart and Hartenstein. I mean, 8 of the 9 rotation players are all coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Same coaching staff, and the only guy coming to the team is DiVincenzo, a guy that has chemistry already with players on the team. So, I mean, if we got 47 wins last year, we should definitely be looking at no less than that this coming year.
Yeah. And the talk, as it is almost every year, when we talk about, did the Knicks get better or not, and then it goes to the rest of the league or the rest of the East, and they, this team got better, and this team got better, and this team got better. I guess what I'm banking on is the chemistry making us better, right? Like we didn't maybe make any again, other than DiVincenzo, we didn't make any big splash moves. But some of the teams that did, Boston, for example, did they get better on paper? But as we know, on paper doesn't really mean anything because it has to translate. And even when it has to translate, there's a learning curve, right? That curve where they have to get that chemistry. How does KP fit with those other guys? He brings a dynamic to them that they didn't have, as far as size and maybe shooting. I mean, they had shooting at the center, but they didn't have the size at the center. But they also lost a guy like Marcus Smart. How much does that affect their chemistry moving forward? Um, the point guard White, I guess he was there last year, but new role for him now, starting role. How does he adjust to that, and the team adjust to that? So even though they made some moves, or some teams made some moves, sometimes the best move is no move at all, or the best move is just to continuing to grow. So I guess that's what I'm banking on as far as us improving. Forgot what I was gonna say. But what are your thoughts on that, delusional, as far as the chemistry and the continuity of the team actually making us improve, even though we didn't make a big splash in free agency or the trade or the draft?
No, I 100%. I agree with both of you fellas. Same team coming back, like I said, 147 on the breaks of pushing over 50 if it wasn't for injuries, and of course that slow start. This year it's definitely going to be different because remember early in the season we were going through different changes as far as trying to implement Cam, trying to see what certain players can do in the system. That Cam experience didn't work. Tibbs was trying to get him out of there. Like Tibbs wanted to play his guys. And then we realized once we sat Fournier, once Cam was down and he brought in the individuals and he stuck to a solid rotation instead of having 10 players, Knicks totally changed. So now we know Tibbs is going to do that from the start. So just imagine how many wins we could have had previously if he would have stuck with a solid rotation, Fournier on the bench, not having him come in with the spurt of the minutes. We losing because of certain defensive assignments. So now that's covered with DiVincenzo coming in. Like you said, it's the Nova Knicks. They won the championship with this guys, He was on an interview, I forgot with who, where he talked about roommating with Brunson and that was his guy and stuff. And he went everywhere Brunson went in a sense. So that's a brotherhood when you pretty much in a college situation like that. So him just squeezing in, that's just easy money. It's real easy money. We just need to stay healthy. That is my only thing, because we know if Brunson get hurt, you got Quickly or DiVincenzo to come in that point guard spot and run it, and we probably don't lose as much. But what happens if Julius gets a situation? That's my biggest thing, because for Opie, you can at least count on Opie giving you 18 points, or 16
in a
here
start, you're
or
saying?
in a starting situation, right? He could at least give you something to keep you into the game. What's going to happen on that, that aspect? What are we going to do? You can bring in Barrett to play the smaller four, or you can bring in Sims to be there. So Tibbs has weapons. I'm just curious to see how we're going to work that angle, and that can affect our record, because like it did this year. So injuries could definitely affect our record, and who will come in and kind of replace that.
Yeah, he's definitely become the. I know some Knicks fans are not gonna like to hear this, but Julius Randle has definitely become the least expendable player on our roster. What I mean, the way currently constructed.
Yeah.
Like
The
you
most
said,
difficult to replace. Like
Yeah.
if something happens to Mitchell, you go with Hardenstein. If RJ's out, you can slot Hart in the role.
Right.
If DiVincenzo needs to come in for Grimes, you're good.
Yeah.
Quickly's already proven he can play for Brunson.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're right.
we don't
You're right.
we don't want to be looking at putting Hart in the starting lineup and putting RJ at power forward or starting Isaiah Roby. Like, I'm gonna be nervous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be if Randall's out for an extended period. For I don't want to say forget about it, but you know, you know,
He's the
don't get
hardest guy to
delusional.
replace. He's the hardest guy to, and we don't have at this the way it's constructed. We don't have a definitive guy to come in and fill that role, whether it be for
Yeah,
four
man. Look,
games,
yo,
5 games, a
I'm
game.
banging on the
You know what I
wall for
mean?
Nathan Knight. I'm banging on the wall. Nathan Knight is gonna be somebody. Backup power forward. I'm banging on the wall. I'm gonna do it again. Banging on the wall.
I also find it interesting that Tibbs really rarely used the small ball lineup. You know what I mean? But now, you know,
But no, he used it with Hart. He used it with Hart.
I mean, yeah,
There were times it was Brunson, Quickly, RJ, and Hart with Mitch.
Yeah.
We saw that lineup.
we have.
And that is a solid defensive lineup. But, Hart was being reluctant to be an offensive player, though. So it's like he needs to turn it on and be aggressive during that time. That's all I ask.
But him at the 4 is going to probably take a lot more effort on that defensive end, which may take some away from him offensively. You know what I mean?
True.
One thing I do love about this roster, especially with the addition of DiVincenzo, the late addition last year of Hart, Hartenstein as well. I think quickly started to pick up on some of those attributes that I'm about to talk about. Just that hustle, that diving on the floor. You know what I mean? Like when Hart came in and brought that type of tenacity, I think it immediately transferred over to some of the other players. I think DiVincenzo is another guy that you're gonna see a lot of diving on the floor. You know what I mean? Jumping in the stands, trying to save a ball or whatever. That's something that we didn't see early last year. You know what I mean? And that's something we didn't see probably the past 3 years. Guys willing to sacrifice their bodies in that way. I think the Nova guys
Just the overall scrappy play.
That's gonna definitely help us. Anything you guys want to add to that, and then I'm gonna get into
I want to throw this scenario in. How do you guys feel with Hartenstein playing more power forward?
Is that along with Mitch?
Yes. Because like you said, what I like about him is when we utilize him in the offense, he's at the top of the key where he's actually dishing to Hart, and he's cutting to the basket, or he can space the floor. Tibbs kind of cut that early with him shooting the rock. So maybe this all season he can kind of work on that 3-point shooting to also space the floor from that aspect. But at least 10 minutes, going with a twin tower lineup in a sense of where he can be on the perimeter, kind of passing, using back cuts, setting screens, and you still have Mitch on that, defensive end to help out. Is that something you can see, or that's just Tibbs is not even remotely looking at that?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the shooting. I think for us to see it and see it frequently, or even sparingly, he's gonna have to really develop that. It doesn't. I don't even think it has to be a 3, but whether it's 3 mid range, the jump shot from Hartenstein is gonna have to come along a little bit faster or better. Otherwise, we talk about bad spacing with Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle, who obviously can stretch the floor, whether we like them shooting threes or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think if Hartenstein is not stretching the floor, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. What I would be more intrigued to see though is more minutes, with Hartenstein at the 5, where now we're not worried about the floor being stretched. He could be a little bit more of a facilitator, with 4 guys around him that could spread the floor.
Right.
But, a couple minutes here and there, I think we're going to see a lot of different minutes or a lot of different lineups when Randall is not on the floor. You know what I mean? A lot of different guys playing the four
Oh yeah.
when Randall's not on the floor. I think we'll see Hartenstein there at times. I think we'll see Sims there at times. I think we'll see Barrett. I think we'll see Hart. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be by committee. So we
until
will see it.
until until he
Nathan
sees
Knight.
what's working, until he sees what's working best, and then he'll consolidate it, and it'll be what it is. I'm kind of hoping it's RJ, to be honest with you.
At the four, at the back of four.
Yo, no funny. I just feel like RJ plays like a power forward. He looks like a power forward. He plays like a power forward. And maybe him playing power forward with Randall being out allows him to come in and get busy down low. Hartenstein at the top of the key, around the high post, and dishing it to Barrett down low. And maybe his ability against power forwards gives him a little bit of an advantage. And he's kind of strong, so maybe against some backup power forwards, he's holding his own. But I feel like RJ is more a power forward than any other position on the court. He doesn't have the handle of a guard, doesn't have the shot of a guard. He doesn't really have the leaping and speed and flexibility and athleticism of an athletic shooting guard, small forward. He plays like a power forward.
I mean, I think it's the way.
Is that delusional? Is that delusional?
No,
I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
The attributes that you stated is 100%. It's 100%. It's just the fact that he's 6'6". So
yeah. Maybe he's 6'7" this year.
I get some insoles.
So my next transition is gonna be who makes the biggest leap, right? Because I think that's another part of why, besides just the continuity and the familiarity that the team has, I think we have four guys that could make a considerable leap this year. I think we have a guy that could be in the running for most improved. I think DiVincenzo could potentially have the best year of his career again. After having his best year last year, I think he could continue that path and have an even better year this year. I think Quickly obviously has the potential to continue to grow. Oh, Grimes was the guy I was referring to as could make that leap as most improved, or at least in that conversation. The reason I say him for most improved is because of his numbers. They just have the if you get telling me somebody's going to make the largest jump with numbers, it will probably be Grimes, right? I mean, Quickly averaged 15 last year.
14.9, but 15.
You know what I mean? I don't see him just jumping to 20 automatically. Not saying he can't, he can, but even at 20, you know what I mean? I think Grimes, if you're telling me somebody's gonna jump more than 5 points per game from last year to this year, it would probably be Grimes. And that will probably be part of the criteria of being most improved. But yeah, biggest leap. I have to go with Grimes right now, but I think that there's a number of different options. I didn't even mention RJ yet. But I'm going with Grimes for the biggest leap from last year to this year. Or if you want to say potential breakout season, I'm going with Grimes. What say you guys?
You could take this one.
I was trying to hold off.
You want to go then?
I didn't want to jump in on Tone. I didn't want to jump in. I kind of wanted you to go first, delusional. But listen, I'm just going to just say this. I feel like the players that we kind of will be looking at making jumps, right? Just so before we even talk about who is going to be, who are the potential people? So we're talking about Grimes, we're talking about Quickly, we're talking about RJ, we're talking about Mitch, and to a lesser degree, we're talking about DiVincenzo. I think that Quickly got minutes at the 2 last year because there was Grimes injury at the beginning, Fournier's disarray, blah, 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 blah. I think Quickly loses minutes this year. I think Grimes loses minutes this year because DiVincenzo is a baller. I think that Mitch is too busy not working on his game for it to be him. And I feel like I wish it was RJ, but it's not really a whole lot of a leap he can take. The only real leap he can take is just being more efficient and being a better defender and missing less layups. So all that being said,
which he made that improvement this past year, RJ. That's the one area he improved last year. It's finishing. I mean,
he's
statistically.
He went from atrocious. He went from atrocious.
Listen,
not really that good.
I'm just saying.
And if you compare him to the league, he's still at the bottom.
I'm just saying he made the biggest leap in shooting percentage this year, and that was with his
percentages at the rim.
Yes, because that was with his 3-point shot going down, getting worse. So that means if his overall shooting percentage went up and his 3-point percentage went down, that means he's finishing a lot better at the rim.
But specifically, field goal percentage shooting at the rim, he's one of the worst in the league this year. But we don't got to drag that. So all I'm saying is, with all those factors that I just laid out, I don't really see a significant leap for anyone. I see a leap for the team because collectively, there's going to be less dependency. People aren't going to need to be required and asked to do too much. You know what I mean? So, we just need them 3-point field goal percentages to go up. So, like I expect Grimes to go from like 11 points to like 13 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking at 15, 16 points. I'd be surprised if Quickly scores as many points as he scored last year. RJ, can you score the same 19 points, but shoot a better field goal percentage and shoot a better 3-point percentage, but shoot the same 19, 20 points? Like, I need better efficiency more than I need leaps in terms of, jumping off the scoreboard or jumping off the paper with points and stats. So that's how I'm seeing, leaps or lack of leaps, if you will.
You're 100% right, but if the efficiency improves, let's start with RJ Barrett. If his efficiency improves and his shot attempts don't take a huge dip, his numbers is gonna go through the roof.
Yeah. Now, if he took 3 less shots and made 1 more, that would be incredible.
But I'm just saying, so the efficiency, that might be the leap. That's all I'm saying.
He goes from 19 points to 22 points. But I'm just saying, when we look back on it, if he improves his field goal percentage a little and he goes up 2.5 to 3 points, we're not going to be like, wow, RJ took this incredible leap. Unless he's like making fourth quarter clutch shots. Those are going to be those are the things that I'm looking for, the intangible things that numbers aren't going to be able to tell the whole story.
Yeah, but you don't think if his efficiency goes up and he's only averaging 3 more points, 2 more points, I don't think you're saying it'll go over our heads as far as how much he's improved.
I'm saying,
I think everybody knows the biggest problem with him is efficiency, him in particular.
Right.
So I think we would notice.
And he shoots a lot. Like, to get the amount of points he gets, he shoots a lot. So, like, he could stand to shoot a couple of shots less, shoot more efficient, and still end up at 21, 22 points. Like, I don't feel like RJ scoring 5 more points is like the key to the team being successful.
No, I agree 100%. I'm just
So
saying for him in particular, his leap will be efficiency. That's what I'm saying. Grimes per se, I mean, I guess you could say efficiency as well, but I would put it more about him being aggressive.
Right.
Then I mean, the efficiency is gonna come.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. These are the type of things
different people.
These things won't jump across
different things to make a leap.
But those, and I was just saying, those things won't jump across if we look at a stat sheet. And at the end of the year, we're just looking at the numbers. There's going to be more intangible things that you have to actually watch the games. And if you haven't seen the games, you wouldn't be able to realize the impact.
No doubt. Delusion, what's your thoughts while I read some of these? I'm gonna go through some of these comments.
So the reason why I wanted to go last, because I thought I'd be the only one stating that no one would take a great leap, because I totally agree. We are stacked at the point guard, 2 guard spot, and then of course we're going to be spreading those minutes out at the small forward and power forward spot. So everybody minutes is going to be cut quickly. Like you stated, his minutes is down. Grimes and Dante, their minutes is going to be clashing. The only individual that I really took a look at was Mitch, who's probably consistently going to get his 31 minutes, a game, and someone that's averaging 9 points and like 8 rebounds or something like that, that can take that next leap of getting, 2 blocks, 10 rebounds, 14 rebounds, and 11 points, averaging a double-double. That would be a significant increase, but I don't see it. I don't see it. So the individual that I looked at is not even a player, but I see Coach Tibb taking the leap this year with this team.
I like it.
With Tibb switching things up, putting in an actual system or offense of where and giving players that room to create and not trying to, put a lock hold on everything. Maybe that's the leap that can really transport. It's Coach Tibb and that coaching staff actually implementing something with the actual talent that we have. This is the team that you wanted. These are the players that you wanted. Now put out something there where it meshed. The offense is good, is not as stagnant, and it works. So I think it's Coach Tibbs that could possibly take that next step.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to sit on this one after the show.
Yeah, that could be the next topic right there.
So, do you think everyone other than Brunson and Randall, I'm assuming, their time is not going to change, but everybody else is kind of going to be splitting or sacrificing, let's say.
Not RJ.
That's a good point too, especially if he's playing backup 4 minutes as well.
Right, he's going to get 35, 36.
He's going to get the same minutes. He's going to be getting the same minutes. It's quickly Grimes and DiVincenzo that are going to be fighting for minutes. I mean, because you gotta know Brunson's going to play 31, 32 minutes. So, and it's not going to really be room at the 2 for quickly like it was last year.
Nope.
Quickly, he that 2 spot opened up some extra minutes for him. He got to close some games even at the 2 because it was indecisive. Grimes wasn't quite ready. Fournier was playing weak. Grimes now is going to be more confident. If he's not there, you got DiVincenzo. So unless DiVincenzo's flopping, quickly's not going to really see too much minutes at the 2.
Yeah, but you know what you just did though. You made because y'all almost had me. y'all almost had me agreeing, but now I feel like it's RJ because he's gonna have the most opportunity. We talked about him playing the backup 4, which is gonna be a change in, or at least the opportunity he has in that second unit. While Randall's out. now that's his time to shine, right?
I hope you're right.
So the shot selection, it may change in the starting lineup, or the shot attempts may change in the starting lineup, but in that second unit, I think the shot attempts go up now, and the opportunity to score against non-starters, where you have a an advantage against backup fours. I think now RJ might have the biggest, at least, opportunity to make the leap.
I hope you're right. I mean,
I mean, does that make sense?
in terms of what the team needs and who you need to step up and fill a role, RJ has the opportunity, unless this guy Nathan Knight comes in and balls out of his mind at power forward backup spot. But if Tibbs is kind of set that he wants to keep it at 9, not 10 guys, then yeah, I mean, RJ, yo, this is opportunity. Be the first one out of the lineup to the bench from the starting lineup, and then a couple guys sub out, quickly comes in, then you come back in with quickly. Randall goes sits down. There's definitely an opportunity for him to do what the team needs and get the job done. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that happens.
Shout out to Sherman. I'm gonna put 2 comments. He says RJ averaged 5 3-point shots last season, taking 16 shots a game. He says that's what I want him to take, but better shooting percentage. 43% last year. That's overall shooting percentage. Bring it up to 50. I agree, but this is the comment that he says he's taking all bets. IQ is not gonna be here when the season starts.
Oh. I'll take that bet because I think he's going to be here when the season starts. Do I think he's going to be here past 2024, 2025? That's a different story.
I thought he was going to be dealt this offseason, to be quite honest with you. So, I mean, for IQ, for quickly to be traded, I mean, for me, it would have to be a blockbuster. And I don't see the team doing a blockbuster deal at this point. It's like, well, you're getting rid of RJ, you're getting rid of Randall, you're not getting rid of Brunson. Like who are you dealing to? You're dealing quickly in Fournier to make a blockbuster deal for what, Embiid, or like the team has proven to be very stable, organized, and together. Not just the players on the court. I'm talking about from the top down now. So the organization is not really playing them type of last minute,
right,
foolishness right before the season starts. Oh, we're gonna get rid of it quickly. It's like, all right, well, if we got to sign and trade him in the offseason, or if you got to lose him, then that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be. It's like, nah, we got a chance this year. Eastern Conference Finals, or finals with quickly on the team. And Brunson is not like I wouldn't call him injury prone, but
he's gonna miss some games.
He's prone to nicks and knacks. He plays a style of play where he's gonna miss a game or two, even if you don't have big time injuries. He gotta sit down for a game or two. So you won quickly on this team, and if you didn't get that for him already, what you think you get now? So
yeah, I don't think he gets moved. I agree somewhat with what you're saying. I feel like they were open to moving him. I think it would have to be a big deal, a big trade, because he's obviously playing better than his contract is valued at. I think it's more likely that they actually extend quickly, and that doesn't mean he's not going to be traded.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think it's more likely they extend him, get that money closer to where his value is on the court.
So you can trade him.
And now you could, and now it becomes
it's so
more
hard
of
to trade him.
A fair asset. Yeah, because you're not going to get the right value in return money wise, unless it's in combination with of a bigger trade. So I don't think he's moved either. I think it's more likely they extend him, have him under contract. Um, even even if it's that 4 year, 100 million, I don't think that is a contract that becomes hard to move. I think that's very close if to fair value one way or another, whether it's a little bit overpaid or a little bit underpaid. I think it's fair value, and it's what the market is gonna probably dictate for him anyway. So I disagree. Sherman, I think he would be on the team. I think I don't know if you extend him now, they can't move him for a year, right?
Exactly.
Or is it a certain amount of months?
Yes, it'll be the same thing like RJ last year.
So oh yeah, it becomes that poison pill type deal. So yeah, I think he gets extended, and then if he's being moved, it's not until next summer. You know what I mean, or sometime after that. Um, Reports came out that Josh Hart's extension is going to be in that $75 million ballpark. Um, to me, that becomes a steal of a contract, especially when the reports prior to him opting in was he was looking for 20 million a year, and now we're talking about 4 years, 75, and he took the extension. And he took the player option. I mean, if we could lock him up for that amount, I feel like that is a steal of a deal, especially in combination with him opting in. So we saving, a good chunk of change immediately by him opting in, and then with a 4 year, $75 million extension. You look at some of the contracts that were given out this offseason alone, in Bruce Brown, Dylan Brooks. You know what I mean? Those two guys in particular, I mean, you can argue Brown coming off a championship may have inflated his price a bit.
In his performance in that run.
I mean, I'm not saying I wanted Brown with like he's one of the guys that I would have liked us to pursue, even though it wouldn't have been any difference. Talk about undersized for the position and things of that nature, but just the fact that of what he brings. But I feel like he fits that same mold of a Josh Hart. You know what I mean? And Brooks maybe to a lesser extent. You know what I mean? So I feel like those two guys are telling you what the market would have been for Hart or would be for Hart in free agency. So if we get him on 4 years, 75, I think that ends up becoming, a steal of a deal, somewhat of a discount.
Two things I looked at. One was I absolutely did a Brooks comparison. Brooks got 4 years, 80 million.
80.
And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, he's going to a new team, hasn't proven anything to that team. And even though, he had some moments, I mean, what did he really truly prove with Memphis? He proved so much that they said you could leave. And at least Hart proved coming to this team, he took this Knicks team from a play-in potential team to a team that went to the second round of the playoffs and almost went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I feel like and the second part is, if I had to bet, knowing the way these contracts have been given up, that 4th year is likely going to be a team option because that's how this team been doing. So, I want to hold the cards out that's laying out there like that. And, listen, 2-3 years, if you got to trade Hart, it's a smart contract that you can easily trade. You can get up off of it. And, it's the going rate for a hustle, hard-nosed, scrappy, dependable, reliable guy in your locker room. So, the price is the price.
Yeah, no, CAA is working their magic, man. And then of course he took the home court discount because he got his brother to come also. So I doubt if we didn't get DiVincenzo, he probably wouldn't have took that cut. But the fact that he understood, okay, I can have my brother here, we build or something, I'm down. So it's a
So
good move.
Keith Turner disagrees. He says that's what we do: give contracts to mediocre players. Hart ain't worth 75 million, and that's not a steal.
What's the going
Sure,
rate? What's the going
and
rate?
that's my point. Whether we think it's too much or not, I think the market dictates the what I mean how much you're gonna have to pay for him. And
I'm still
when you
watching
look, when you
I'm still watching wire clips. Cost of the brick going up.
It's going up.
Cost of the brick going up, Keith Turner. Cost of the brick going up.
I think as a matter of fact, you don't speak to me, you speak to you.
Sherman also says, Dylan Brooks is highly overpaid. I'm not disagreeing, but the market is what the market is.
Hold on. I do want to speak about Hart and Shuttle just speak on it truly where we were a team, we were going in different direction. We was unsure. Hart came in and brought that identity ASAP. Like, nah, we scrappy. I'm playing D. I'm locking up. And then, of course, she was shooting 50% from three, 50% from the field from that first stretch that he came. So that 75 is warranted, especially if he could continue to come in and still lock down, bigger players and come in and knock down a consistent shot. And then he plays team basketball. There's certain times where he make the right hockey assist, knock down 3 timely assists, knowing that, okay, quickly got it going. I had a clear shot, but I'm going to pass it. And he cuts. How many times him and Hartenstein? Remember the heart-to-heart duo? We were ready to put on heart-to-heart T-shirts during that time period. So he came in. We was calling this dude John Starks with that number 3 at a small clip. Fans gravitated to him, so he had a big impact on the Knicks. So that 75 is warranted from my point of view.
And it resonated with the team. Like once he came, and teammates saw his hustle, and you start seeing IQ dive on the ball. You start seeing Hartenstein dive on the ball, RJ dive on the ball. Like you ain't never seen RJ dive for a loose ball before Hart got here. So I think that is another part that like that competition. That effort. When you see that from your teammate, you have no choice but to reciprocate.
And also too, when you talk about overpaid players, and you talk about Dylan Brooks being highly overpaid, keep in mind, and I'm no Dylan Brooks advocate, but I mean he scored 14 points a game, and he's second team All NBA defense. So I mean All NBA defense is All NBA defense. I don't care how what you want to say about it. You got to get. You had 10, 15 million minimum being an all NBA defender in today's market. So to say he's highly overpaid would be highly outrageous.
Yeah. And Houston needed defense. They needed someone to play D. So you're gonna pay for what you need.
And set a tone with all them young guys on the team. I know we're going to have to be a little tougher. We're going to have to be a little bit more out there, somebody to defend, they're high flyers and they're all their young talented players. So, that'd be good.
Shout out to Uncle Fulio.
It's a good
Josh
question.
says, are we rewarding Hart for his past season, or are we expecting he will live up to the 75 million? My answer is yes.
And yes.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. We're expecting that. It's for effort. 75 mil for effort guy.
I mean, he brought more than just effort. At one point, he was a prolific 3-point shooter.
So I want to touch on this. So before Hart came in, right, on the team, who you saw that had great IQ on the sport of the game on the Knicks?
Brunson, and that's it.
So you see with Hart brings that IQ. This is not just all basketball stuff. He knows his game.
And as much as Brunson does have a good IQ, it seemed like Josh Hart better raises the IQ of other players on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like see, Hart is the type. I mean, Brunson aside, but Hart is not a guy that's defaulting to Randall in any kind of way. Like I've been in the league. I came in the league, was playing with you years ago. You my bro. I'm not your son. You know what I'm saying? Like Grimes is kind of like Randall's son. He shoots, he looks at Randall, he makes it, he doesn't make it, he's looking at Randall, defaulting to give him the ball all the time. Hart is not playing that game. Hart is like getting the rebound. If it's quickly, if it's RJ, if it's Brunson, Randall, you can sit over there in the back and wait for the ball. You want to dribble it up slow, but we're not going to do that.
Yep.
We pushing the ball up. If you wanted it, you better go. And I think that style just became very, very infectious. So people pushing the ball up and moving it. And we're going to see more of that from the very, very beginning of the season. And Hart will continue to be a guy that has that happening on the floor.
Perfectly said.
My bad. I'm reading some of the comments. Decided who I want to throw up on here.
Throw them all up. Throw them all up.
Shout out to Fournier though. Fournier's always good for the controversy. Even when he's not trying.
I think he's always trying. try to stir something up, stir the pot. I love it though. Let's see who else I want to talk about. Let's see. Keep turning. He says Dante is the starter. You could book it. That him or Josh Hart. I'm assuming starting at the 2. I think this is a good combo. That's a conversation.
Let's hear it. Let's get into that.
Yeah, I think Grimes is by default is the guy, but I also think that Tibbs is absolutely going to look at Dante, and if he's proving to be undeniably the better guy, the same way Grimes proved to be the better guy, I think that he's going to listen, Dante and Brunson, they did this in college already before. So you got to think, it's like, as a coach, you got to be thinking, oh man, maybe they can recapture some of that old spark. You know what I mean? You got to be thinking that. So, so he's not going to just give it to Dante, but if he comes in a training camp playing some hard-nosed defense and is passing the ball and shooting lights out, and I mean, listen, what's the worst case that happens that Grimes comes off the bench? I mean,
he could win it. He could win the spot based off of experience alone, right?
True.
And when I say alone, I'm saying all things being equal between the two, he could win it based off of experience, based off of the IQ, which I think comes with the experience or comes from the experience, right? The more experience you have, the IQ should rise, right? So I think it's a toss up, right? But between who gets it. I think Grimes starts with it because he earned it, and that's something that we've seen from Tibbs. Even though when he makes the decision, it's almost final, he does give it, like, you got to fight your way, you got to earn your way into that spot. Like, it wasn't necessarily just given to Grimes. He probably had the inkling for months before he put Grimes into the starting lineup, right? And was waiting for the right opportunity. You know what I mean? I think he goes that same route moving forward. But neither one of them are going to give it to the other. Grimes is not going to give it to DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo is not going to give it to Grimes as far as relinquishing the starting role. I love the fact that Grimes, and you muted Shuttle. I see you saying
no. I said that's going to be a topic with the coach. Like, I could hear Tibbs already. It's like, oh man, Dante's coming in. He's doing all the right things. He's making a hard decision for us. Like, I can hear all that already. So and that's back to what we were talking about the biggest leap. That's why I don't think the biggest leap can be Grimes, because I see Dante playing too well and just be eating into Grimes minutes, whether he's starting or not.
I mean, it's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be it's gonna be a dogfight. I think one of the things
great problem to have.
Yep.
Grimes has, this USA select team. You know what I mean? That type of experience and motivation, and I assume he could have a bigger role on that select team than he necessarily does on this team. But that experience he could take that coming, moving forward into the season. You know what I mean? This is a chance for him to go out and play against some of the best. He plays against some of the best of the league every night anyway. But you know what I mean? Like, this is something that he could hang on his shoulders and use as a tool moving forward. You know what I mean? Especially going against Brunson now, going against Hart now. I think it's a great debate. You know what I mean? A great situation to be in. These two guys fighting for the minutes and fighting for the roles.
That's what you need.
Still sharp and still, right?
Facts.
So yeah, I think that was a great comment. And I don't know, maybe Dante gets it. I don't think it's a given, but I do think it's gonna be a nice fight as far as who. I don't think Hart is in that conversation. I think Hart stays in that second unit. You know what I mean? Unless somebody goes down or you know what I mean, it's for a game here or there. That's it. I don't know if there could be any other potential changes within the lineups or starting lineups. Unless there's a trade being made. And let me just say to Josh, I don't think anybody on this panel is afraid to pay for a superstar. I think, for me personally, it's about the right superstar. Like, if you're giving up assets and changing and making trades and changing, giving up 2 for 1, 3 for 1, whatever it is, it got to be the right guy. It can't just be the name. It has to be the fit too. Well, we've seen some of the best in the world and it not paying out on a trade. You know what I mean? We just seen what happened with Brooklyn the past couple of years. And we talk about two of the best ever. To me, that was the fit more than anything else.
Well, injuries played a role too.
It was a bunch of things.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
But when I say fit too, to me, when I say fit, I'm not even talking about basketball. I'm talking about personalities.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, that was what really hindered everything.
Yeah.
So you gotta get the right star in.
But who is the right star? All right, that's the question. Who's the right star? I think CAA know what they're doing, which is why we're so methodical with our moves. We got the cap guru here, making trades to make the money fit and work. I truly think the Knicks is on the right direction. We stocking up draft picks for a specific reason. They're going to pull the trigger soon. It's just on who. And when.
Yeah, no, I listen. If you tell me the team is looking at a 50-win season and a second round potential Eastern Conference Finals with all these draft picks and all these smart tradable contracts and a plethora of young players on smart contracts that can be traded that could be of interest to other teams, I'm gonna take my chances being patient one more season.
Yeah.
I listen, I was in on RJ for Paul George and whatever else needed to go. to make that happen.
I was in it until I heard he wanted the extension as well.
Right.
Yeah. Listen,
and that was a deal breaker. So, but I felt like adding Paul George to Grimes, Randall, and Brunson and Mitch, like,
to me,
man,
that was the fit to me. So I agree. I was with that one as well. And I'm not even too like I didn't care about the extension per se because listen. I didn't say a number.
right.
I said an extension.
But we all know the extension he wanted. He wanted that $220 million.
I mean, I'm just saying all that is negotiable.
The Knicks ain't thinking that far. We got Brunson for 3 more years, with the player option of him. So we got to worry about paying him and things of that nature. They like, whoa. And then you see Boston just gave what's the name a bag. So if that's what the future is handing out.
Yeah, but Brown's a lot younger. Brown's a lot younger.
Right.
With a lot less injury concerns. Like to me, there's negotiating rhetoric that you can use. And
they're gonna have to pay Brunson, though, is my whole thing. We're gonna have to pay Brunson. Listen,
see that,
and especially if he gets all NBA this year.
Listen, I'm not disputing any of that, but when whoever that star is, we're gonna have to pay them too. To Josh's point.
Yeah.
And for me personally, because my big thing was always fit. I felt like Paul George was, like he's the guy that fit perfectly.
Now, to your point, Tone, if we had to pay him, then it's like, all right, well, listen, if y'all going to deal him and we got to re-sign him, that's going to have to impact the number of picks that we throwing to you on this deal. You're going to already be getting RJ and probably quickly. So, and then Fournier, I think was the deal I did the whole trade machine and everything.
That was the deal and some picks. I'm like, yo, pull the plug, do it.
Yeah, but when he wanted the extension, I was just like, oh man, you killing it because you probably looking at 4 years, $200 million, and I'm like, nah, that's a dub.
And isn't he still under contract for 2 more years?
Yeah.
Like right now?
Yeah, but I think he has a player option or a team option. I think there's a team option. No,
probably a player option.
I think it's player options for both of them.
But meaning that extension wouldn't kick in for the additional 2 years, and then you would have him for 6 years. I'm like, how many games he gonna play during that stretch? He ain't gonna play that many games.
Shout out to Hilton Murphy with the super chat. No comment, but shout out to you, man. Appreciate it.
Shout out, thanks for the support.
For sure. HP Carlos says no extension.
It is a player option in 25.
And then
see
that's where it gets tricky because it's the player option. So you don't give him the extension. He has that potential to opt out and you lose him or whatever.
That's the part,
the leverage part.
That's the part that I was cool with because you know what? Yeah. It's a short term. So that's your 2 more years. Brunson's 2 more years. Randall's 2 more years. Yo, if you're still healthy and you're still working, we get you another 2 or 3 more years.
Bring them all back together.
Yeah, bring everybody back.
It definitely fit the time.
But if you're not doing well, that $48.7 million is now available to use and book somebody else.
Right.
So that's why to me it was great with no extension. But for 2 years and then you're gonna want 45 million or 45 million per year for another 3 more years, 4 years. Like, come on, man.
I hope that answered the question, Josh.
I'm not smoking that same high grade.
No moon rocks.
Yeah, you smoking that Reggie. Smoking that Reggie. Woo.
I'm trying to think. Man, who said it? So, I mean, as far as the superstar, I think it's really about the Knicks not wanting to make a mistake and not want to have the wrong situation here. At some point, I think it does happen. We do make a move, and the longer we wait, I mean, not saying the longer we wait, but as long as we have these assets in our treasure chest, I think it's okay to wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we start risking losing some of the assets, that's when it becomes dangerous. That's why I feel like we do re-sign quickly. Hold on to that asset. I feel like he'll still be a movable contract, but I will admit I've been wrong before. I've said the same thing about Evan Fournier, and we have yet to move him. We'll talk about that in 1 second, right before we get, and then we'll get out of here. And I've also said the same thing about Kemba Walker, and obviously we had to attach assets to move him. So I say that knowing I've been wrong before. Evan Fournier, does he get moved before the season start? You say no?
Nah,
No?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Is
They're gonna hold. I'm a real quick. I don't mean to cut you off. They're gonna hold on to Evan for a trade. It's 100%. Like the trade deadline, something is going to be a splash with that because that's 18 million that you can use that a team is going to want to do. So they waiting on this James Harden situation. They waiting on this Dame situation to let all that dust settle, and then everyone can figure out, okay, cool. Now we need to save. Somebody need to get under the cap. That trade is going to be used.
so let me,
because they could have traded him a long time ago. If you really think about it, they could have just easily, two first round draft picks. Sure, we could send them to San Antonio. They got the money. Be with the new French kid. Be a mentor.
wait,
over there.
you're saying attaching assets to move him?
No. I'm saying like the Knicks could have easily moved him for like 2 or 3 second round draft picks.
Oh, second
They
round.
could've-
You said
yeah.
you said first. You said first. That's why I'm like, wait,
All right,
yeah.
that was a little.
That's why I'm like,
A little
wait.
delusional.
Yeah.
That's what we call a delusional moment.
That was definitely a delusional moment. But yeah, so like they could have easily traded him, for a few second round draft picks to San Antonio because they got the money to take that 18 mil, and we could have just took on draft compensation if we wanted to, same what we did for Opie. But everybody knows, like, no, we can utilize that money, 18 million a trade exception. We can use that in a bigger trade as a filler for teams that need that. So they're gonna hold on to Evan until trade deadline.
I disagree. I think, especially with his rant and raving overseas about the Knicks and the Knicks situation, I think the writing's on the wall. They get rid of him as soon as possible, and I don't think. I think if it was that easy, he would have been gone already. Because think about even what you're saying. Because I threw San Antonio out there, and I still think that they're the ultimate trade partner for us. I've talked with the San Antonio fans in the chats. You know what I mean? If we're going with the fans, they don't want Fournier.
They were for
I put the question in the San Antonio chat months ago. As soon as I realized they had the first pick, went right to Bleacher Report. We're in the chat. Oh, y'all should take Fournier from us. You know what I mean? Fellow Frenchman. Da 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 da. First response: how many picks y'all sending us? I even talked about a swap with McDermott. You know what I mean? I went through their whole roster, all types of scenarios. They do not. The fans don't want them. They don't run the organization. Whatever. My thing is, I don't know if we would get draft compensation back. I do agree that we would probably have to attach second round picks for him. But if they absorbed his contract, that becomes a trade exception, which is just as valuable at the trade deadline for whatever trade we would be using Fournier for. Or if we did the Doug McDermott thing, I think he's just as valuable as a player moving in the big trade down the line as Evan Fournier. But me personally, like, you see how we moved Obi so fast. Once he starts making those comments and bad mouthing the Knicks, I don't think there's a world where we bring him back. Not with this regime. They've been they don't need that negativity going into the season. So I think we move him. I think the only thing we don't do to move him is take on a long-term bad contract. So whether it's expiring, whether it's adding second round picks, but having a big trade exception where somebody absorbs his contract, I think all those things are on the table. The only thing I don't think is on the table as far as moving them is somebody who has 2 years left, 3 years left at similar money. You know what I mean? So I think we have to move them before the season, even if we gotta attach those 2 seconds that we got for Obi. You know what I mean? Like I think we gotta move on. I'm gonna get to the super chat real quick, and then I'll let you respond to that. Uncle Fulio, appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. He says teams are not playing the unrestricted free agency game anymore. Star players are either being traded or extended where they are. Most of the league is over the salary cap. I agree. It's only 2 teams, I believe, right now that are under the salary cap and still able to, absorb that that free agent or absorb a contract. And I think it's only Detroit and it's only San Antonio left that have, the cap space to absorb any amount of money.
I'm telling you, once these teams start to have to pay in those taxes, and because I believe there's like 2 levels of exceptions now, so these teams are going to want to get under that.
But how does taking on a Fournier make them get under the cap?
So for
Unless
instance,
they're giving up.
Did you know why Golden State traded away what is it? Poole for Chris Paul is because they extended that. They extended his contract, so he had multiple years. And then Draymond needed his extension this year. So in order for them to be, under a certain cap for next year, they brought in Chris Paul, who's an expiring contract this year. So that's why they kind of made that trade. So people are still trying to get under. So, and even with Cleveland, they got a decision to make. We're having multiple 100 million players when Evan needs the extension, so they're going to need to get under the second threshold level. So certain teams still.
But if you in that situation, we would be the Wizards. Which
in
means
what?
In that Golden State Wizards situation, we would be the Wizards. We would be
Golden State getting rid of Fournier.
No,
because we're not taking on a contract in a sense. Well, from my point of view, it's not taking on a contract.
No, the Wizards. I mean, Golden State took on the expiring.
Right.
We would be the team giving up the expiring.
Oh, so, in a sense, yes. From that perspective.
So that's what I mean. So if we're moving him and his value is expiring, that means the player that they're sending out is not expiring. Is a longer term contract. So unless it's that star.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. That's so like we would be the team giving up the expiring.
Right, so to bring on the longer contract.
The longer contract, which is something that unless that longer contract is a player that we want long term, and that's where it becomes, you know what I mean? It's not as easy, it's easier said than done.
Well, that's why I said that's why we would keep him is to put in package with that for that star, because if a team is getting rid of a star, you're going to in rebuild mode. So you will want to be under the cap so where you can make certain moves and have draft picks to kind of do a reset. So that's why I figured that would be the option of keeping him, is to utilize that as its free salary.
Because I was on that same wave, which is why I was like, you know what, keep Derrick Rose too. Because now that's those 2 guys as expiring contract would probably equal whatever guy we was going out to get. You know what I mean? Like, so I see I see your point of view,
right?
But now, again, if we're moving him to somebody else, trade exception is just as valuable, or another expiring contract
Right.
as a flip, you know what I mean, a switch is just as valuable. So I think we move him. I don't think we hold on to him. And if we do hold on to him, I'm for telling him don't even report. Because at
Bingo.
this point, the value is not in him as the player, in my opinion. It's in, like you're saying, the amount of money that he's making to match salaries or get close to matching salaries. But as far as coming back to if we are keeping him, do not report. Stay in
Hey,
France.
I'm gonna say it again. We got this international summer tournament happening. Evan, I need you to go out there. I need you to be Summer Fournier, FIBA Fournier. I need you to do what you do out there. Increase your trade value. Make people see you as a target. And you know what I mean. And hopefully we can do something because at this point, I mean, unless you calling the coach and you calling the players and you like, yo, listen, I'm all in. I'm coming in with a good attitude. Unless you're doing that, I can't have you around. You know what I'm saying? I can't have you around. So
I think it's too late.
But,
I think it's too late because the
all
first interview he has, they're gonna be like, "So you want to spit on everybody, huh?" like that's gonna be the first question. Like, you really spit on people?
Yo,
but I didn't take that to the heart though. You know, Fournier has always been passionate and being, you know, outspoken even throughout the season when he was starting last year and getting it like, nah, we need to do this better, so I commended him for that and being able to speak up with that. So when the interview came out, this is what I expected. I'm like, cool, I expect that. So I didn't take it bad. I don't think the organization took it bad though.
You think it's a language barrier?
Nah, I mean, a culture,
I'm
maybe.
just saying,
I think it's 50-50.
You
I think
can't.
it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50.
He gonna walk through the garden tunnel. It's gonna be a lot of.
Oh, you think we going Julius Randle him thumbs down scenario?
I think
he ain't gonna be playing, so it ain't gonna matter.
Right. I think it's. I just think there's certain things you don't say. That, I mean, that's the thing that rubbed me the wrong way.
Don't forget Derrick Rose. We know Derrick Rose felt the same way as well, which is why
but he's a professional.
He left and still wanted to play and did his thing, and you know we all know these guys felt that way. So these guys are human. So I commend him for speaking his mind. And it was a reason why he did that too, because he wanted to get traded. So that was his whole purpose of throwing that out there, was to sit there and try to force the organization's hand, a la Obi Toppin. And you know, we'll see. I think he's going to get traded. It's just trade deadline. But if he do get traded beforehand, trade exception, we could get that. That'd be awesome. But how long can we hold a trade exception is my thing.
I actually, for some reason, don't quote me on it, but I believe the exception actually goes longer than the actual contract. Like, if he would have been expiring, I think the exception still holds maybe a year or a couple months after the season starts. The next season starts. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that, like, even the like that OB exception, I don't think we have to use it by the end of the season. I think it goes into next season a little bit.
Okay.
Or at least into the off season. So,
but it can expire in a sense if we kind of don't utilize a trade or go above the salary cap to a certain extent. Like, it can expire. I might have to do some research.
It does. It does expire. I just don't know. It's not like
it's not immediate.
It doesn't expire.
Like,
it doesn't expire when that contract would have expired.
Okay. Because, like I said, that's very pivotal. We could have 18 mil in the bag just to
that
utilize
we could absorb
in a trade, right? But then that means we don't necessarily have to make the money work in a trade.
Exactly.
But if we can't make the money work, some teams might want those draft picks. So that's why I would rather have the body there to kind of fill in didn't have the substitute with the
To
pick.
me, I think they equally as valuable because that team now gets a player a trade exception.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if we're absorbing 18 million of, let's say, 35, whatever the difference is, or that 18 million becomes a trade exception for them because they didn't have to absorb, they didn't have to take back that salary, so it becomes a trade exception for them. So to me, it's just as valuable.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's definitely
Shut
good. It's definitely good.
Shuttle just put it up in the
Yeah,
private
yeah. I'm
chat.
gonna take a look at that after.
Um, Shuttle, you was about to say something. I think I cut you up. Or no?
I just think that um, it's going to be hard to trade Fournier before the season starts. I mean, all the NBA wheeling and dealing, 95% is already done. You know, you got a Dame Lillard and you got a James Harden. You got those type of things that are ongoing things. But aside from those, I just don't really see anything significant happening. And Fournier's probably just gonna have to sit home until the trade deadline.
I think there is a scenario though, to Delusional's point, where those two guys, Lillard, Harden, they may be stopping. Like they may open up the floodgates once they are moved. You know what I mean?
For
It
some
may
other
open
moves
up
to happen.
for and yeah, for throughout the league. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's some teams out there that are monitoring those
Oh, I
situations,
think
right?
every team, once the NBA sent
What
out that documentation to Dame,
the
they like,
memo,
nah, you better open this up. So yeah, definitely.
and I think that was what was holding back some people getting into the conversations. Like, oh, I don't want to trade for him if he don't want to be here, and that memo changes things because it's not like James Harden where he's in the last year of his deal. You talking about trading for Dame Lillard. Now you talk about having him for 4 years under
Right.
contract for 4 years. That, you know what I mean? I think that's why the memo was sent out where Harden, it may not have been no memo sent out. He's expiring. The leverage is not there. You know what
They
I mean?
sent
Like,
that out to help Portland, to be honest, because they know Miami was going to give them scraps for Dame. So
but do you think that makes Miami change their offer, or that just opens it up for the rest of the league to say, "Oh, I'm willing to make the. You know what I mean? I'm willing to consider bringing Dame here for 4 years."
well, it opens it up for the league because I think like Miami, they can't use any picks or any of that scenario and stuff like that. So they're kind of stuck, which is why they was trying to add a third team to add some, send out a hero and bring in some draft picks. So it definitely opens up for the rest of the league. And I agree with you, Parrish.
Parrish Duggar says, "Shout out to this Parrish
Well,
Duggar for the
because
super chat."
that helped out because everybody know I was rocking for Cam, and I knew Cam was doomed from the beginning once he got there because we saw that Tibbs was like, yeah, no, I didn't want him here, and the organization made that move. So once Tibbs made that move with Fournier, I'm like, yes, Fournier, speak up, because Tibbs was not speaking to Fournier. Like, that's my only issue with that. It's like you put these guys on the bench, but don't give them no type of inkling or direction of how you could get back rather than just defense. Okay, cool. We get that. But what else can these guys work on that they can remotely see the light of day?
So let me ask you a question.
Wait, let me just read it real quick. He says Evan is a hero for speaking up for all the dissed, and like you saying, he talk about Cam, he talk about Derrick Rose, talking about himself. Go ahead, shut up.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on, Shutter. You had to turn the hat forward on me, man.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
did.
all right, all
I
right.
did. Um, do you? I don't mean to pry, but do you have a job?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I have a job too. At my job, They tell me what my job duties and requirements are. I don't meet with somebody every week for a discussion about my job duties and my requirements. I know what my job duties are. And when there's times over the years of different jobs when I've been underperforming, hey, listen, we gotta talk to you. You are underperforming. This is what you need to do. You need to get it right. If you don't get it right, it's gonna be da. So, like, I'm confused where in every other place in the world where you get your job duties and you get your job description, and nobody's meeting with you every week to tell you what it is to do. Like, I mean, I'm not having lunch with the person I report to. They're not consoling me. They're not, they're not in putting their arm around me, making me feel better about, my performance if it's not good. Like, yo, perform. This is what you got to do. Do your job. And if you don't do your job, you're not going to have one.
So now,
and if you want to, when you have an annual performance review, listen, if you're not happy with the review and you're not happy with the raise that you got this year, if you want a better raise next year, this is what you need to do for the next 12 months to get to that point. And they're not going to be meeting with me every week or every 2 weeks to give me a status check on what I'm doing. Now, if I want to know where I'm at, I can knock on the door and say, hey, listen, I know I got to get better. I'm really focused on, listen, I've done this, I've done that. Can you give me a heads up on the things that I'm doing and the impact that I'm attempting to make? But that's my responsibility because of my negligence of my performance. So he should be the one knocking on the door, having conversations, asking questions, asking what's up, how am I doing? I'm giving my all in practice, but instead, you know what happened? He got mentally tuned out. He was checked out. He was not coming to practice hard. He was not playing hard. He gave up, and he even admitted it in that same interview. So I don't have no sympathy for a person that checks out. I said this on with Knicks with the Queens Court. Listen, this is why Tibbs cherishes guys like Grimes and Deuce McBride, even when they were not getting in the games. Year one, they performed in practice with such an attitude, with such an aggressiveness and assertiveness, a dependence, a reliability that you knew, listen, the way they practice, shit, if they don't play for 5 games, if I put them in tomorrow, they're going to be ready. Did you hear the story with Evan said?
Deuce McBride.
Yeah, Deuce McBride. And Tibbs went on record and he said that several times in press conferences. And it was
before he started playing them. He was crediting Deuce McBride on being ready, staying ready.
Also, Evan Fournier in the same interview talks about how RJ got hurt and he was underprepared to perform because he was mentally checked out and was not practicing the way he needed to practice. And then when he got in he knew he wasn't ready. In his mind, he wasn't ready. His body wasn't ready, and he went in there and he was not ready, and he played terrible. And he talked about that in the same interview. So I don't know how sympathetic I could be for that guy, because
I think it gradually got to that state. Because remember, the year before that, his first year came, Nick record, shooting at a high clip percentage. Him and Randall was a 1-2 tandem as far as their little pick and roll and pick and pop scenarios. And Fournier kept us in a couple games in a sense with his shooting. So you go from that, and then remember he came in this year, came into the camp prepared, ready. It just so happens that, sorry kid, we're gonna go with defense because of last year we were horrendous at the front line of the defensive situation. So then that's when it started to kind of go downhill in a sense for him on the defensive aspect, because Tibbs went on a switch. Like, yeah, no, your defense is horrible. And did he start? I don't think he started. Like, he didn't start at all this year in the beginning of the year. Anything, right?
Fournier was starting at the beginning.
He was
of the
starting
season.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so then so he lost that job just from us losing those games and stuff.
He lost it to Cam, right?
No, I think no, you're right
He
because
lost it to
RJ
Cam.
was the 3
He
to a
lost
certain
it to
extent.
Cam.
So yeah, you're right.
That's
It
what
was
you know what
RJ
I
and
mean.
Cam for the most
That's
part.
why and then Cam lost it to Grimes because
To
Grimes
Grimes, right, right.
was hurt. You know what
at
I
the
No,
mean?
beginning
you're
of the
right. He
season.
lost it to Cam. You're right. You're right. You're
So
right.
so that's why to me, and I'm not even trying to defend Tibbs, like because by all means he's not perfect, but the opportunity Fournier had the opportunity to start the season. He lost it to Cam. Cam lost it to Grimes. We've seen this in years past.
Right.
Once you're out, it's very hard to get
Oh
back
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah. You're done with
with
Tibbs.
Tibbs.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you started on the outside, it's hard to get in that circle. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to me, the writing was on the wall. Even back to last year when he broke the record, he broke that record, but even that was in limited duty. Like there was times where he start the game and play 14 minutes. Like he was getting Obi minutes at time. Not last year, the his first year here. So to me, the writing was on the wall as far as what we needed from him or what Tibbs wanted from him on this team. Once he wasn't doing the one thing that
Right.
we needed from him, he didn't bring any other tools or you know what I mean, like attributes that he could rely on.
Yeah, but I think Fournier wasn't the player Tibbs kind of wanted from jump as well. Like you stated, even with the Kemba Walker scenario, the those are players that Tibbs was like, "Yo, we're gonna have a trouble with," but the organization was like, "Nah, we could fill this in," and they
And
learned from it.
to be honest though, I'm not even sure if that's accurate because Tibbs was on record saying he wanted Fournier. He
He was on
doesn't say
record saying that.
yeah, he like
Wow.
when we brought him in, he doesn't say that if it's not true. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
he uses his words wisely. So if he says, "Yo," you know what I mean? I wanted him. I believe him. If he's not gonna say that, he'll use pleasantries, but he's not gonna say I
I
wanted
wanted
him.
him.
You know what I mean? Like he'll be like, "Oh, he's a good shooter, a veteran." Like he'll say good things, but he's not gonna say, "Oh, I wanted." I think he said, I don't even know if he was talking about that year in particular, or if he said like he wanted Fournier in the past, whether it was a different team, different situation. But he definitely said that, you know what I mean, he was on his list of guys.
Okay.
He didn't say that about Kemba.
Yeah, he knew Kemba was too small.
Parrish Douglas says, "Oh, thank you for the super chat. But if you always did a good job, why change my usage?" I'm assuming he's
Yeah.
um. I think once he stopped shooting well, once he hit that slump, and that was to start the season. Again, he was out. And again, I'm not saying Tibbs was perfect. Like I feel like he could have used them in the playoffs when we couldn't hit a shot, when Duncan Robinson's running around hitting all types of threes. I felt like, all right, if Spo could use Duncan Robinson, why can't we use Evan Fournier, who brings the same things and lack the same things? But
Because everything you just said, the lack of
but
trust.
no. I understand. I was just saying, like, in the midst of the game where we can't hit anything.
Yeah, I was hoping they
You know what I
bring in
mean? I'm
somebody.
like, oh, bring him in. Let's see if he could just get a, you know what I mean, hit 2 threes real quick. Bring, you know what I mean, change,
Yeah.
stop the bleeding or something. So I think there were opportunities, but I acknowledge once you're out of that circle, it's very hard for you to get
Yeah.
back in that circle. And I'm the same way in like regular life. I could only imagine if I was a coach and you know what I mean, like, no, I'm going with what I trust.
In
And,
facts.
and and I can't go against my own philosophy, my own judgment. You know what I mean? Because now I'm second guessing myself. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have did it. You know what I mean? So it's tough.
And when you got guys dogging it in practice, not looking like they gonna come in and do anything, and looking mentally checked out. That's the thing. Like, you know, the talk from the coaches is that Duncan Robinson was preparing and practicing like he was going to be playing in those games. And he knew that he was underperforming and he had no option but to prove himself the only place he could in practice. And he got better and got better and got better in practice. They also had an injury. Hero was out. So it opened the window. And when he got in the game, he was prepared. And Duncan Robinson, not only was he shooting outside, he was going to the hoop. He played better defense than we've known him to shoot. So, they just look similar. Peace to the God.
All right, my last question. 2 questions before I get out of here. I'll do it one at a time. Hypothetically, if we moved Fournier for a Doug McDermott, do you see McDermott cracking the rotation?
Not without injury.
No, I don't think so. Even without injury, because we're still kind of stacked at. We got a lot of players that can play multiple positions currently on the team. So, from small forward, point guard, 2 guard. So if Doug McDermott was a power forward, then that would be a different story, but
if RJ were out though, similar to how when Mitch was out, even though Hartenstein was the backup, they didn't put Hartenstein in the starting lineup. They put Sims in the starting lineup and let Hartenstein come up the bench.
Still come to back, right?
And I would imagine they would keep Hart as the backup and put McDermott in the starting small forward role. And I think McDermott is decent enough to start and see how he's playing. He's playing good. You leave him in. He's playing trash. Hart, get in there.
I mean, I haven't kept my eye on him in a while, so I'm not
since he left the Knicks.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the game. So.
Yeah, I mean, he did more or less for the Spurs the same thing he was doing for the Knicks.
But Spurs got a system though. That's so that it's kind of fitted for him. Tibbs
I liked him on the Knicks. To be honest, I liked what he did on the Knicks. The other guy that has been rumored from the Spurs currently now is oh my God, he started the last playoff run for us. Why can't he went to Dallas after he left it.
Bullock.
Oh yeah, give me Reggie in a heartbeat. And
because a lot of fans out there have been saying they don't want Bullock because they know Tibbs is gonna.
He gonna play that man.
He gonna put him back in the rotation. But you sign up for Bullock. I'm not opposed to it. I think that's just an overstatement as far as the fans say, "Oh, we know he's gonna play Bullock." I think Tibbs has turned a new leaf in the sense that when he sat Rose, who's his guy.
You know
what I mean? Like, once he did that, I don't think he cares your name, how much money you make. Like, if you're not doing what he thinks he needs from you, you're not gonna play. So I don't think he's gonna play Bullock off of name, reputation, or whatever the case. I mean, unless he's saying, "All right, I'm playing him for defensive purposes," and that's what I mean. But I think if he's not, if he's not bringing it, he's gonna sit him.
Reggie will be the official backup 4 if they bring him in. I'm going on a limb, like right off the top. He's the official backup 4.
I mean, he probably would be the tallest out of the rest of the guys. So yeah,
he's barely maybe 6'7".
6'7".
Yeah, I thought he's 6'7", right?
But that's taller than
Hart, than Barrett,
RJ, DiVincenzo. So it makes sense, and can guard multiple positions.
Hart is your most prolific rebounding guard in NBA history.
Yeah.
He's got an aggressiveness and, like body type that is best built for battling power forwards versus, Bullock is kind of slim and thin.
Pause.
So you say delusional. You say yes, he would play. What do you think, Shutter? You think he wouldn't play?
Nah, not without any injuries.
Okay.
I mean, if listen, people made a big deal about Tibbs in the 9-man rotation last year. I think that was strictly because the team needed to be condensed to 9 players, not because he had a 9-player rotation mastermind concept in his mind. So I think if you have 10 legit players, I think there is room. But my only thing is that if you bring Bullock, I mean, are we gonna do quickly Dante, Hart, Bullock, and Hartenstein? So, I think he's more or less a player if RJ has any time off or time out. I don't think he would play ahead of Hart. But he's good insurance. He's like last year, our quote unquote insurance was Rose and Fournier. You know what I'm saying? So having a guy like Bullock that can actually still play, that's a decent defensive player. Dante gets hurt, Hart gets hurt, RJ gets hurt, Grimes gets hurt. Any of them players gets hurt, Bullock can step in anywhere in that shooting guard, small forward
all
rotation.
Across the board.
And you can fill in all across the board for all of those players. So that's the quality level of backup that we need where we didn't have last year.
DJ Space Ghost says he's too small to play the 4. That was my initial thought as well, but
Everybody
we just said it. He would actually be the tallest guy. As far as a backup position.
But he is slim though, as Shoto tackled on. He is slimmer than Barrett and
it could be Sims.
I think Sims definitely might get that role.
Shout out to Parrish Duggar. Appreciate the super chat again. He says, no person ever deserves banishment without communication. Even prisoners get to have parole board meetings and periodically to find out what their status. That's hilarious.
Look, Kyle Korver said it best when he was out in Chicago under Tibbs, and that when Tibbs had you in the doghouse, like he would not converse with you, and you're on the team. This is your coach that you with. I'm being paid to play on your team, and yes, if I not playing defense to your standards, whatever the case is, all right, cool. How could we work on it? This and this and that, and you're not trying to communicate with me. That's wild. That was my only thing. I get it. You can sit on the bench. You're not performing to my status. Cool. But I'm going to still converse with you. I'm going to still talk to you. I'm going to still give you some type of insight. So
I don't know if a player actually said, I attempted to talk to Tibbs and he didn't respond to me.
Okay.
What it sounds like is he's not warm and fuzzy. He's not making small talk.
Oh yeah, we ain't expecting that.
When you're not one of the top players and you're not playing up to par, it ain't nothing to talk to you about.
Gotcha.
There ain't nothing to talk about. Get your game up. Get your game up.
It's not like they don't know where to find him because they say he in the office.
He's always in the office, right?
And to my man Duggar, if you got a meeting with the parole board and you want to know the status, they don't knock on your jail cell saying, "Hey, do you want a status on you want to update on your status?" You gotta go through the steps and you gotta request it. Okay? And do you call the parole board directly? No, you gotta go through the channels. So that's why you got assistant coaches. Yo, assistant coach, how am I doing? You think coaches is seeing my effort? You think coaches is catching what I'm doing out here? You think coaches is saying I'm doing enough or I need to do more? You got a team full of assistant coaches to communicate to. That's what they there for. This is the NBA, bro. Come on. What are we really talking about here? I'm sorry. I'm not delusional.
Last guy I want to get to. it's a no for me, but I'm gonna just throw it out there just because I think he's been linked to the Knicks for like mad years. So I'm saying Evan Fournier for Gordon Hayward swap.
Oh no. No.
Hey, for some reason, Tibbs likes him.
Yeah, Tibbs do like Gordon Hayward.
And he's been linked to the Knicks as far as trade discussions for numerous years. So same theory. If that was the move, because I believe he's expiring too. That's the only reason why I would even consider it anyway. But would he crack the rotation in a swap? I mean, because I think he's skilled. The problem with him is two things: defense, which I think has to be better than Fournier, but still isn't elite. And obviously, he's always injured, always getting injured.
Then I don't even think they'd think about that trade, so I don't even think that'll happen. So yeah, no.
I'm gonna act like you didn't ask that question.
Yeah, I just threw it out there. Look, somebody. I'm not saying he agreed with me, but he understands the premise. He said he has game. It's just slow defensively.
No, he has game, but it just doesn't fit anything that we need at the moment. Because Hayward, we need the ball in his hands to be efficient. He's not like he's just going to be a catch and shoot or 3-and-D type player, which is somebody we need with height. Like, nah.
If he was having a decent season, if he were playing healthy and having a decent season, if RJ got hurt near the trade deadline and you needed somebody to fill in the small forward role, all right, you could maybe talk me into it at that point. But it's still $31 million. And if you haven't traded Fournier, that's only $18 million. How are we going to make it for the other $13 million?
Well, we got the $6 million trade exception. That would be another 6.
So that's 24.
And yeah, you're right. I'm not trying to give up no assets to make that money match. So I recant my previous question. We'll strike that from the record.
No, listen.
And this is a very, very valid point from Paris Duggar. Cam got banned for talking his truth to assistants. And I think that is an accurate statement. You talked about the chain of command. I think Cam did follow the chain of command. I don't know exactly what it is that he said. The rumor is that whatever he said was relayed directly back to Tibbs. And from that moment on, he didn't get a minute of playing time.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was the tone of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was the translation of what he said. But I do agree, and I did agree at the time, because he had that same complaint. Tibbs hasn't told him and he went to, I forget which assistant.
Yeah, what assistant? Because you gotta keep it under wraps, man. If players,
I don't know if it could be what you're saying. Like maybe because the assistant, I don't think the assistant is wrong for relaying the message. Maybe the assistant was trying to get
get
the response to relay it back to Cam. But again, I'm not really going deep dive into this.
Right.
Cam was my guy.
Right.
He gone. I'm happy with Hart. But I think that is a valid point. More so at the time than now.
You gotta. This is a job. You feel me? Like it's a game, but it's a job. I was just having this conversation this weekend. You have to, just because it's right, don't mean it's the right thing to say. You gotta have like a skill of being artfully vague when it's time. You have to know that saying this, while it might be your truth, might be responsible for making a more explosive situation. So you got to know what you're saying, who you're dealing with, and weigh what's going to be the potential responses. And if you are not, like, if you spending the time around this coach and you're not picking up his communication style, how he responds to things, listening to what other people are telling you, or like you got D Rose. You don't even need to go to an assistant. Talk to D Rose. Yo, D Rose, what you think? That's why I'm down for bringing Taj Gibson back. Somebody that got coaches' mind state,
right,
that players could talk to. Because, yeah, I mean, I know it's football, but if you guys remember Tom Coughlin, when he had his little thing with Strahan and Tiki Barber and all that, it's like the same thing. It's like the same thing. So you got to know who you dealing with. And you got D Rose on the team. Why are you talking to an assistant coach and you got D Rose right here? This is Derrick Rose you got right here.
Yeah, he might tell you, leave it alone.
He'll tell you,
be patient.
He'll tell you, leave it alone.
Show him in the practice court.
just ball, fam. And at the end of the day, that's what all the players need to do. They just need the ball, and that's it. If you ball and you show improvement, you got good work habits. Everybody said Cam, last one in the gym, first one to leave. Notoriously known.
Really?
Absolutely.
And the Cam thing, he didn't ask the question. You know what I mean? He said, like, what more can I do? I'm doing everything. You know what I mean? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Like, he didn't say like, oh, all right, what do I need to do, or how can, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, he just don't like me. I'm doing everything, and I'm still not getting a fair shot. So again, it's
the coach, assistant coach. Does the coach not like me? I mean, I'm doing everything I could do. Nobody wants to hear that shit. You sound like a spoiled little brat, like most of these players are. That's around his age. It's like, you've been so coddled. You've been treated like such a star from so young, and you haven't been coached hard. You haven't been having people on top of you. You got these yes men in your corner. You great. Oh, the coach will be playing you. And guess what? You go to another team, you get a shot, and now you're back on the bench. Clearly, it's not the coach. They said it was Tiz with Knox. They said it was Tiz with Cam. Look what these guys are doing. They're doing nothing. I'm going with the coach.
Speaking of the coach, shout out to Parrish Duggar. Appreciate the super chat. He said Tibbs got a job too. We win and lose because of Tibbs.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if that's in defense of Tibbs, but I mean, I think it's an accurate statement, and we've been to the playoffs and won. You know what I mean? As far as, getting to the playoffs, and so we won more than we lost under Tibbs. That's all I'm saying.
Again, I'm still watching my Wyatt clips. In the words of Snoop, too much talking, yo. You need to talk too much. All right, all this talking.
Snoop did get knocked at the end, though. Eventually,
it wasn't for talking too much, though.
How my head looks, shorty.
it wasn't for talking too much, though. All this talking, yo, you gotta just ball. Like, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Damn, you right out today. Fire Tibbs. I'm officially done. All these bum coaches we had all these years, this guy took you to the playoffs. The first year with a squad that had no business in the playoffs. Then he took this team that was underperforming, benched the losers, and rolled this team to the 2 games from the Eastern Conference Finals. And you ready to fire the coach, fam? Wow.
Wait, not too much on my guy, because he said he's riding it out. He's riding it out. So at least he's riding.
No, he's riding out till they fire him.
I'm saying he's riding it out though. He ain't abandoning shit until they fire him and they're trying to come back.
Quick question, Shuttle. So when Tibbs' contract is up, you're ready for negotiation and for him to come back.
All right, now I do watch the player contracts, but I don't know when his contract is up.
I think Tibbs got 2 more years, this one and next year.
Okay, well,
So the contracts kind of pays out with Tibbs' contract as well with the
So
players.
you got 2 more years. You got this year, and next year. So
yep.
He's getting out there in age. He's gonna be 67 years old when his contract is up. So that is a little long in the tooth for a coach. But if he's healthy and he's ready to keep coaching, my expectation is next season we should be an Eastern Conference Finals team. I'm not even talking about this season. I'm talking about next season with all the players, everybody coming back, maybe a potential trade, this trade deadline, next offseason. We should be looking at a run towards the Eastern Conference Finals. If we get to second round conference finals this year, and then we get to Eastern Conference Finals next year or finals, I'm not looking to fire him. I'm sorry, not fire him. That wouldn't be the thing. I'm not looking to replace him with somebody else. Maybe not a 5-year deal, maybe a 3-year deal because he's gonna be kind of old. So it's like, listen, coach, you're 67. We're gonna do 3 years, not 5 years, something like that. And hopefully there's somebody on the bench that's being groomed that can be the heir apparent.
I'm gonna say this.
That's what I would be focusing on.
If we make it to the Eastern Conference Final, I'm giving him a 2-year extension minimum.
Got to
minimum.
Come on, man.
2-year extension on the spot.
It's been a nightmare for 10 years, and people are on their heels about firing this guy still. Come on.
Oh, no, I'm happy with Tibbs, with just letting his contract kind of expire and kind of see what transpires from there, who's on the roster, what direction the team is going. So that's my take. I appreciate Tibbs. Do I trust him 100% with certain scenarios? Nah, because he's stubborn. He's a stubborn individual. He's going to go with his rotation, which is totally fine. But I've seen what he's done with our organization. We are relevant. That alone is just phenomenal and amazing. So I give Tibbs, kudos to that. But for me, I'm gonna let the contract expire and see what our lineup looks, because I was seeing it from the Golden State scenario where Mark Jackson came in, implemented everything, builded that, and then they literally just brought in Steve Kerr, who was literally a first-time coach, and boom, championship. So that was a mindset that I can potentially see happen. Not to say that it will, but I was just leaving room for that option.
Okay,
yeah, so at the very least, you gotta finish out the contract because we haven't had a coach that finished out their contract in over 10 years.
Yeah.
So the team goes to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. You want to let him be a lame duck coach and go into the final year of his contract, going from second round Eastern Conference Finals, and now he's in the last year of his contract, and you're not going to give him a contract.
I won't give him an extension that year. I would see how we finish out that year.
Now that that's not the status quo of the NBA. It's not the status quo of the NBA if you got a coach that's doing well.
I mean, this is CAA we talking about. Look how we operate. We methodical with every move. So I would think it would translate over to coaching as well.
The reason I would give the extension because I'm working under the assumption that we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, rather than letting him go into the final year of his contract with that looming over, right? Just like a player going into free agency. Rather, I give him the 2-year extension with the caveat knowing that I don't feel as bad letting him go if things don't work out moving forward. Now we have a coach that fulfilled a full contract. You know what I mean? If we let him go during the extension year or further, that's because something didn't pan out. You know what I mean? That's because something fell apart.
No, I just think that would be the smart move because everything we doing is, like you said, is calculated move. So if Tibbs get us to the Eastern Conference this year, right? We bring him in the next year, let that contract expire. Why are we jumping the gun and giving you a 2-year extension or 3-year extension? Figure that year. Even if we make it to the second round and we get eliminated from, a super team, we can still bring Tibbs back because of the circumstances that occurred. And that's going to keep Tibbs that hunger to be like, yeah, no, I'm going to coach correctly. I'm going to put in that work. Look what they doing to my man Saquon. Saquon deserve all that bread, but they being stingy, and the Giants is being, so
that's different. Running backs don't get bread. Dalvin Cook got Dalvin Cook is waived, and he's much more worthy than Saquon Barkley.
Right.
So, plenty of running backs get cut.
Yeah.
But this is at the status quo of what you would call an effective.
Remember, plenty head coaches get cut too. Look at Doc. Doc won a chip, and he on the bench.
Doc is the only one to blow 2-3-1 leads.
Okay? Is it just two?
Two.
So question now. So we have this is probably one I'm gonna do for my show. The assistant coaches that we talked about on the Knicks team, do we need to improve on our assistant coaches? Should we go after Mark Jackson, who just got released by ESPN? Should we go after a Doc to be on the bench to add another mind to these bench? Because the guys that we have, these are all Tibbs guys that Tibbs brought in, as far as like he developed and he worked with these guys prior. These guys didn't really have, except for one guy who had a championship experience on a different team. Everybody else is just kind of trying to make a name for themselves rather than having a bench where they made a name for themselves. Is that a direction the Knicks should go?
To be honest, as much as I don't like Doc, I would bring him in as an assistant. I do not like him as a head coach. Like I feel like he does. Yeah, he got a championship, but at what point does the full track record,
right?
You know what I mean, overshadow? Like how long does the one championship overshadow the full spectrum of his coaching career? He's a brilliant mind. He's a brilliant mind offensively. I think he could absolutely help us as an assistant, and that dynamic, especially he's not obviously he's not part of Tibbs' former coaching staff, as vice versa, but the relationship and the respect is there. So I think that could work. I wouldn't mind a Jeff Van Gundy either.
Right.
I don't know if either one of those guys, not saying it's impossible and it hasn't happened before, but I don't know if either one of those guys want to take a backseat role. Especially Doc coming off of how it just ended in Philly and obviously what happened with the Clippers. It's almost like admitting your faults. You know what I mean? Admitting your shortcomings.
He needs to relax.
Van Gundy, on the other hand, I think it's more likely that he would do it only because he's so far removed from coaching, and the thing is he has that itch. But I think there's a risk in both because Van Gundy, he's a strong mind. Right. You know what I mean? Like, so he's gonna tell Tibbs if he disagrees. You know what I mean?
We have a good relationship, though.
They do. Both of them do.
When he was in Houston, he came under Houston and things of that nature. So they got a great track record. They was together in New York. So
yeah, both guys make sense.
Two things really quick. Johnny Bryant.
I'm not.
This is my only thing with Johnny, right? This is my only thing. So Johnny, to me, I saw him as the player development, the Kenny Payne that we had for that time period, more so of that player development. Why didn't he do summer league? For us to see his offense, see what is his philosophy?
Yeah, Dice.
Like we all know, Tibbs run everything in that system. You don't see Johnny Bryant only besides talking to Tibbs. Yeah, now he got 2 timeouts. He might got to sit. That's all we see.
Yeah, I don't think he has
on the sideline. Like, yo, we saw this play, do that. Like, he never drawed up a play for Tibbs or any of that. So I don't know what Johnny Bryant
Yeah, I
Like if
feel
you
like
could inform me what Johnny Bryant do, that'd be awesome. I just don't know.
I feel
I
like
know he played ball though.
I feel like Tibbs like kind of looks at him like you still got to work your way up the ladder. And that's the way I feel.
So the other one, which I was kind of thinking you were going to say delusional when you talked about Steve Kerr, is well, who's the next potential Steve Kerr?
Right.
An NBA guy, that clearly knows the game.
Wait, he's working out with Grimes. I would love that move
As an assistant, though.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about
head coach.
Well.
I'm talking about this. When you was talking about Steve Kerr,
right?
I'm thinking about who's an NBA baller, coach on the floor, guy that people listen to and be like, listen, this guy knows the game. He can teach the game, can explain the game, and could he be?
You're talking about after the contract expires, or are you talking about replacing?
I'm saying when he was talking that talk about how listen, you just ride Tibbs out. He prepared the team. He got the team already. Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr came in there.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, maybe he thinks JJ Redick would be the guy to come in and be the juice to take it to the next level.
I wouldn't be mad at that, but I'd much rather bring him a year early.
Well, and that's why I was saying the focus really needs to be, all right, Tiz, we love you. We love what you're doing. You're getting long in the tooth. We got to have somebody that's the heir apparent. We got to have somebody that you're grooming to be the guy. Just like, and this is why, even though I hate Pat Riley, this is why I respect Pat Riley, because they made sure that they had a guy they were grooming to be the guy.
Yeah.
They had it ready to pass the torch. They had it ready. And when you're a successful team, this is what you do. Even if you have a guy and the guy don't work out, and you got to go back and be the guy, and you find a new guy.
I was gonna say they had the guy ready, and then he took the job back and said, "Wait, I'll give it back to you next year." Remember, Riley came back down for a year.
Yeah.
In the midst of it, came back down for a year. So let me give you a couple pointers. You know what I mean?
Let me show you a few more things.
Show you a few more things
with me on the sideline, because he was there with Van Gundy on the sideline, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, he had a stint on his own too, where Riley came back down. I don't even know if it was a whole season, but Riley came back down for a year.
But it went from Van Gundy to Spoelstra, right?
Yes. Van Gundy, Spoelstra, Riley.
That's what I'm saying. That Riley came back. So you saw under him, you got me in a box, but you got to get the experience from me right here, live and direct, and then you'll be ready. Then I'll go back up.
So my only pushback with the Redick scenario is because I was going in a direction of like bringing in someone that had championship experience, on rather winning it or being on the coaching staff doing that. So that would be my only pushback. Steve Kerr, you won under Mike, you won under Pop, so he was around these, you played for Phil, great coach in certain scenarios. So that's more so of what I was trying to bring forth along with the assistant coaches or having the head coach that won it, so that was my only kind of, direction of that. But JJ Redick, I'm not opposed to it, but more so as an associate head coach or player development coach.
Well, that's why I say bring him in a year
bring him in earlier.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Let him get that little bit of experience under the belt.
All right.
And you know what I mean, it's not even a given, but if you see something in that time period where it's like, yeah, and he's already in house.
Right.
I like the thought of it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely was a thing about that. That's good. I think he's enjoying that ESPN money for now.
Yeah, aren't they all? Except for those that aren't. Except for those that aren't anymore.
Right. But no, it was a good one.
Yeah, I think that's it for tonight. 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Told you, Cole. We just getting back, so
yeah, we had a lot to talk about for sure.
Definitely.
Appreciate you guys both joining me. Appreciate the chat, man. I missed you guys for real. This is definitely my therapy, and I miss my therapy. You know what I mean? So appreciate you guys in the chat for joining me. I will be back next week at the latest, but I might do something on Sunday. Any last words for you fellas?
Oh no, just thank you for having me on the show. If you could definitely check out my page, that'd be awesome. I'm trying to push for, I think, like 500 is like a threshold I'm trying to get. I'm like at 450 right now. So Delusional Nick Fan Network, if you can definitely hit that subscribe button, it's free.
Look, it's 49 people in the chat. So if I'm assuming if 49 of you guys have not been subscribed to his channel, go right over there now. We'll get him one away from his milestone.
Look, that'd be awesome. And I'm giving out free merch once I hit that level, Delusional Nick Fan, and I got the tee, so I'm throwing out the free merch for my subscribers as well. So that'll be dope.
Why don't you before we sign off, why don't you put that link?
I don't know if the links could go there for sale. I'll try to do that for Queens.
For some reason, I don't think you can do it from StreamYard. I think you got to do it from YouTube.
No, you got to go into YouTube. Go to the YouTube. Go to the YouTube page and just copy and paste the link in there. So please note, DJ Magic, Custom Car Truck and Bike Show, UBS Arena, Sunday, September 10th. DJ Shuttle, I will be there on that set. It's usually an extravaganza, 2,000 or 3,000 people, something like that. If you're into the exotic cars, the exotic bikes, the tricked out trucks, it's going to be amazing. Like face paint and all kind of stuff for the kids. Some live performances, special guests. It's going to be a big deal, Tone.
What's the venue?
Elmont, UBS Arena.
And where is that?
That's in Elmont, Long Island. The new arena that they built right by Belmont.
Okay. I know you said the 8th?
Sunday, September 10th.
10th. I know we got the cookout the day before. I'll wait for Sim to make the announcement, but I'm pretty sure we got another cookout the day before. So, and I think I got that whole. I took some time off, so I might come out there. For sure. Chat, man. Again, appreciate you guys jumping in with me. It's been maybe 2 months since I did a show, so I'm just happy to be back. And like I said, I'll see you guys next week at the latest. But I think I'm gonna drop something on Wednesday as well.
Sounds good.
And with that, man, Yo Black is time, man. Appreciate you guys again. Find the outro. There we go. And we out of here. Peace.
Race to 50. Yeah.